faith. And they're tired. Now, are you all cheered up? But I want you to understand what's going on, and I can tell you why, because I see the emails, and I see all the prayer requests, and I see what's going on. I think people are more tired of waiting on God, but they're even more tired than waiting for God. See what I mean? Like, because it's like they see this God on the throne, and they're doing everything they can to entice Him. They're putting Hershey kisses all along the way, and that's called prayers. If I get enough on the ground, then my cup overflows, I'll get the yes answer. And so what happens, it's like what they're doing, they do not even realize this. But what can happen, and I want you to hear my heart on this, what can happen subconsciously now, I am not saying consciously, I believe that the body of Christ subconsciously is so angry at God right now, but they won't admit it. Because I believe a lot of people in the body of Christ are having a cold war right now. Anybody know what I'm talking about? A cold war. And it's kind of like, okay, I don't, if it doesn't relate to you, just think I'm off the mark tonight. But I did have a little time to pray. Trust me, I can frost and pray. How they say, watch and pray, I frost and pray. Okay, that make a difference. God just is holy and you're shaving your legs. Okay, make no difference. My best time has been shaving legs. You want a what? Okay, so I want you to understand, it doesn't make a difference, but what God is trying to do, and I believe this, with all of my heart, I believe some of us need to stop the cold war with God. And we may never realize it. See, because I'll tell you what a cold war is. It's when you decide to do nothing. But you just kind of ignore them, but you hope they do something. And so what it is, it's kind of like, I'll give you the silent treatment. Any wife has known what that's like, both ways. Kids know what that's like. It's called temper tantrums. I remember my kids were little, they'd go off to their room, and I used to think, oh, thank God, give me a break. I never would chase them and say, oh, honey, please forgive me. I'd think, you need time out, kid. Give yourself time out. So I remember when they were little, they would give themselves time out because they knew it was coming. Oh, I'll put myself in time out. Okay, bye. Because the truth of the matter is sometimes we do not realize that we have done that. And so what happens, we listen to worship music, we go to churches. Have you ever been and you go to a sermon and you hear it and you grab it and you say, hey, that's just awesome. The next day you're right back where you were again. I mean, it's just like it doesn't stick. It's kind of like they used to have this stuff when we were kids, where my kids had it, where they used to throw it on the wall and it would climb down the wall. It was like slime. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, some of you must know it. Okay, young kids wouldn't, but some of you older ones would. You know what slime is? Do you know what slime? Oh, you're a smart little boy. That's where you make this gooey stuff and you throw it at people you don't like and you put paint on it and you... No, I'm kidding. You don't do all that, honey. Okay. And so what happens, I think that a lot of people are doing this kind of thing right now with their prayers. They're taking their prayers and they're throwing it on the wall. And they're hoping it will stick. And I believe what God is doing, and He will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure if I drop dead, you'll say He was corrected me. But I believe what God is doing right now, and I really believe this, that He's saying, when you come after me with your whole heart, you will find me. And when you find me, you will find everything. But I'm asking that you really come after me with your whole heart. How many remember, I mean, if you were married or something, or if you were even a guy or a girl, and you spotted somebody and you went after them? They didn't stand a chance. I mean, they just didn't stand a chance because you went after them. And that can work in the evil as well as in the good. Because some people can be so evil, no matter what you do, they're going to come after you. Because it's the evil in them that's driving them. And so you can be a saint walking on water, they're still going to come after you. If you don't believe me, the devil was always after Jesus. Wasn't he? So he was always after him. I want you to understand something. Satan is still after Jesus, but Jesus is now in you and me. And so don't be surprised when you have an adversary, because you do have an adversary, and he is trying to stop you and me from doing what God is calling us to do. And so what happens is usually we kind of quit things because of tiredness. And so what he does, he gives you doubt. He gives you fear. But the greatest thing I think he tries to give us is unbelief. Because see, if he can give us unbelief, let me tell you what happens. If he can give us unbelief, he moved us out of pleasing God. Because what's the word say? without faith, it's impossible. It doesn't say it's part-time possibility. It says it's impossible to please God. Not too many scriptures are that strong. So Satan, what he does is he moves us into unbelief. And so what he tries to do, he tries to hang a head over you and me that says, don't worry, that prayer's not going to get answered. Or he tries to hang a little thought in your mind, give up. It's not worth the fight. Give up. And usually he'll try to say, you know what, if you kill yourself, and no one will even miss you. The insurance company would. But I'm saying he puts these thoughts. And I mean, I know there's people in here who've had these thoughts. Because they're not new. It's the same thoughts he's given to Judas, he gives them to everybody. Do you understand what I'm talking about? He uses the same thing because what he does, he tries to make you think God has abandoned you. And it's just like if you can make someone think that they're abandoned, do you know what happens? There's no hope. If you say, okay, wait here, one of the worst things you can do to a child is to tell them, I'll be back at 3 o'clock and not be there if they can read time. Because they're waiting, they're watching, they're waiting, they're watching. And so what happens, he tries to get us in that position. And so when he gets us in that position, we're like looking at the clock, but the clock we're looking at is answered prayer. Are you going to answer this prayer? Are you going to answer this prayer? When God answers this prayer, I'll be nice again. When God answers this prayer, my faith will be strong again. And I want you to understand what happens, it becomes a cycle. Because it seems like, and then you try to get going stronger, and guess what? You get another phone call that's even worse. It's like Joseph. When Joseph was heading to be up there right up with the Pharaoh, don't you think Joseph thought, oh, when he was in the pit, don't you think Joseph probably thought it can't get